right. As you were growing up, did you ever wonder about your wedding day? Maybe you thought of who you would marry, what suit or dress you were going to wear, what the flowers would look like, the music that would play, and a million other little details that would make up one of the most amazing days of your life. Maybe that day has already come for you. You found the person of your dreams and you started out on what is sure to be an incredible journey for you. Like you, I have often wondered what that day would be like for me. The sad truth of the matter, though, is that statistically, either you or I will get a divorce. This is a stark contrast from the magical day that you and I have dreamed of. The American Psychological Association says that anywhere from 40 to 50% of couples will get a divorce, and the divorce rate is even higher for subsequent marriages. It's sad to think that many people who dream of their wedding day are also dreading the day of their divorce. So, what's the issue here? Why is it that when we're planning our whole lives for an amazing event that will lead to a lifetime of happiness, it also often ends in hurt feelings and separation? As one who's still preparing for my wedding day, I wanted to find out what you and I can do together to prepare for our future marriages and a foundation that will not be broken down by and go the way of our societal trends. I believe that there are things that we can do in all of our relationships, and especially our marriages, to help us to help build up our foundation that will last. I want to go over several simple things that we can all do to help us achieve that goal. Today we're going to talk about why a divorce happens, what some of the reasons are that lead to failed relationships, and some things that we can do to strengthen our relationships and build better foundations, and what our lives can be like as we apply these simple truths to find a happier and more fulfilling life with those that we love. Now, let's talk about some reasons why divorce happens. Now, think of a relationship that you've had. When you first start out, it's easy to see the good in the other person. You look for the greatest qualities, and you start to fall in love. As you move forward and you progress in your relationship and you get married, oftentimes what happens is what's called a honeymoon period, where everything is magical and wonderful, and this is just everything you've dreamed of. Now, the sad truth, though, is the world that we live in is full of distractions. The average adult spends anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a day on their phone, teenagers up to 7 hours. Combine that with trying to stay connected with family, friends, work obligations, and just the everyday craziness that happens in our lives, and suddenly you start to see how things can get pretty distracting and pretty busy. Now, the problem that can arise from this is that your spouse or anybody in a relationship that you're in can start to feel like they're not a priority to you. Now, when they don't feel like they're a priority, it makes it difficult for them to feel validated and to feel loved. When they don't feel validated and loved, it's hard for them to open up and to be able to communicate with you. And so suddenly, without even realizing it, you've built a wall in between you. When you don't have communication, you don't have safety and validation, it's really hard to feel that connection that you had when you first got married. Now, what this leads to oftentimes is an unmet need that they don't quite know how to express. They might feel that things are different, that it's not the same as when we were in love before, or it's not the same as when we first got married. And so they start to try to find reasons of why that might be. Now, remember all those little faults that they looked over when they were dating you and when you were falling in love? Suddenly, those things come to the forefront, and all of the bad qualities that we have start to be used as reasons for why we have this separation in the absence of connection. So, how do we combat this problem? Dr. Gary Chapman has proposed in his book called The 5 Love Languages, the 5 ways that we can connect with each other and show love. See, everybody receives love just a little bit differently. What might be something that would be validating for you wouldn't be validating for me. I love hugs. I love spending quality time with people. But for my girlfriend, she appreciates acts of service. So one of the things that I can do for her to show an act of service might not be as meaningful to me, but it's just as important to her as getting a hug would be for me. So it's important to find the things that we can do to speak each other's love language fluently. Dr. Chapman has broken it down into 5 areas. There's words of affirmation, physical affection, quality time, giving gifts, and acts of service. Now, most people fall into 1 or 2 of those categories. And Dr. Chapman says that the majority of problems that he sees is that when people just feel like they're emotionally missing each other for years in their marriage. But once they learn to figure out each other's love language and they start to speak those things to help affirm each other and to validate each other, suddenly that connection they were missing is there again. Because when you can speak someone's love language, when you can validate them, it helps them to feel open, to feel connection to you. And when they're open, they're able to communicate. The biggest thing in any relationship is communication. That's something we've all learned in this class. If you can communicate with another person, you can prevent conflicts from ever even happening, from disagreements and arguments ever getting to the point where you'd even need to, because you can communicate about them. You can show each other that you love each other. A well-known psychologist, when talking about relationships, says that I've found 8 times out of 10, whatever the issues are that my client couples bring to the table, they are rooted in the fundamental misalignment in how each partner gives and receives love. In fact, using the 5 love languages as a framework is something that's helped him to help couples learn to communicate about their needs. So, to wrap things up and to conclude here, communication is essential in any relationship. And it's something that's easy to get lost in today's busy world, full of distractions. But as we take the time to figure out how we can validate and love the people around us and speak the love language that they have fluently, we will be able to help them to feel safe, to feel loved, and to feel connected to us. And our relationships will improve. And the possibility of a divorce will never even enter your mind when you're in a healthy, loving, and safe relationship. I know that that is what we can all build as we apply the 5 love languages into our relationships. Thank you.